Staying healthy, staying sexy, staying young is what living life is all about. And if you have doctors that have proven treatments that keep people young and healthy so they don't get sick, you want people to know about these treatments and that they exist. This is Mark L. White with Health Hacks. And if you ever wonder what the latest really cool drug coming out is, go to a compounding pharmacy. They have really cool things coming out that can change your life. And in a few minutes, we're going to be talking to Kris Fishman, the CEO of Wells Pharmacy, with some of their products. But first, this episode is brought to you by Gainswave. Gainswave is a treatment done at your doctor's office to optimize erection quality without the need of Viagra, Cialis. It's non-surgical, there's no needles, and it has an amazing success rate. To find a Gainswave provider, go to gainswave.com. That's GAINSWAVE.com. Hello, this is Mark L. White with Health Hacks, and I am so pleased and honored to have my friend Kris Fishman, the CEO of Wells Pharmacy, which is just right up the road in Jupiter, Wellington?
Corporate office is in Wellington, Florida, and the compound pharmacy we have in Ocala, Florida, so Central Florida.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the difference between, like, when people think of a pharmacy, they think of Walgreens. What is a compounding pharmacy?
Yeah, absolutely. So compound pharmacy is making specialized medication that is not necessarily found in a Walgreens or CVS. So we're making a product that's either in lower strength or in different dose form. When you come to Wells Pharmacy, the first thing will take your breath away is this is in a 21,000 square foot building. So it's much different than your average pharmacy that you would see on the.
So it's not a bunch of like chem students making stuff out of their bathtub.
Nope, not at all. Being in Ocala, the majority of the pharmacists are from University of Florida. So a lot of Gators, though.
A lot of Gators. Are you a Gator?
I'm not. I am from Southern California. So I went to school in a place in Vista, California called San Marcos.
Marcos, and you moved out to Florida because of the weather or just the opportunity?
Yeah, mainly the opportunity. Southern California's weather is just as good as Florida, but over the last 7-8 years, we've enjoyed the warm water here.
You don't have hurricanes. I think you get earthquakes there.
Yeah, we traded in one for the other.
Awesome. So how long have you been with Wells for?
February, I'll be going on 6 years.
Okay. And when you got out of college, did you always want to be in the pharmaceutical business? Like, what inspired you to go into that field?
Sure. Actually, not at all. I wanted to be a bartender. And
from mixing drinks to mixing drugs.
Exactly. So we found our way through durable medical equipment, through Apria Healthcare, then orthotics and wheelchairs, and then stumbled into the compound pharmacy world by chance.
And with compounding pharmacy, I know there's just been a lot going on in the industry. I know that a lot of the smaller guys are gone. First of all, what do people look for in a compounding pharmacy, and why would they go to a compounding pharmacy? I know it's for different types of drugs, but why compounding?
Sure. Hands down is quality. You must provide a product that satisfies when you receive one of the 50 state audits that will come to you, the FDA, the DEA. You really need to stay on track and do things for the safety and the reasons why we're in the business, to help and serve our patients. So I think what we're seeing is a lot of pharmacies came in quick, fast, and really cut a lot of corners.
Now, if somebody's thinking about going to a compounding pharmacy because they found a unique product, what should they look for in terms of how do they know that pharmacy's of quality?
One warning sign is that you're not receiving a drug that is simply thought of, developed, made, and sent to you within a day. It takes a lot of time to develop a product and simply to make the product and wait for its release time, so that your pharmacy is doing a proper evaluation of the product, and sometimes that takes up to 21 days.
So a lot of it's like the research and development and coming out with something unique.
It is a lot of R&D, but simply testing the product. So if you make a batch size of, let's say, 1,000 items, you would take roughly 10% of that, send it in for testing, and ensure that it doesn't have sterility failures or endotoxin failures or other symptoms that would cause the drug to be having to be disposed of.
Now, I know that we've talked before, and you guys kind of have a niche in lifestyle medication, sexual wellness medication.
Absolutely. We do a broad of sexual wellness products from tadalafil, sildenafils, and then even to some of the new peptides in the market that are sort of slowly coming out.
Okay, so when we talk about peptides, what is a peptide?
Sure, a peptide is a essential amino acid, and for everyone who's ever taken a drug like let's say insulin, insulin is an amino acid and a peptide, one of the first. We've looked at peptides now based on disease states or different types of functions, and we're now looking at serving different types of purposes rather than obviously insulin's doing for the diabetics.
So a lot of peptides are really in the world of age management.
Absolutely, anti-aging and just essentially finding the cures to certain things that your body does, and it's somewhat of a natural form.
So you probably have a lot of these gators that you have in house are on the research and development side.
Many of them, they're focusing on. We get up and we may read the Wall Street Journal. They get up and read just about every magazine and what's the new drug today.
So it sounds like I want to read that article.
Right.
So what is the new drug today, or what is the hottest drug?
So we just came out with essentially a drug. It's a PT-141. A lot of people don't necessarily like the code words or the drug manufacturer starting piece. And what we're seeing is that this drug has been now named Eros, Eros, the love spray, and it's essentially a peptide sexual enhancement done through your nasal cannula. So a couple sprays of this, and we're seeing some similar results to what a Cialis would do for you.
So it's kind of like the old Spanish fly, but in your nose.
That's exactly right.
Does it work for men and women, or just men?
Right. So Palatine Technologies actually is the commercially available group that worked with Amag Pharmaceuticals. They came out with an injectable version for females. This was actually developed it started off with tanning and ended up working with the female primarily. And then, of course, men took it and found results to be both for female and male.
It's amazing that once men figured out that it helps them with their boners, how popular it becomes.
That's exactly right. That's right.
So on this PT-141, there's injectables have been around for a little bit. Is nasal spray more effective?
So absolutely, we found in the compounding side it was not effective. The injectable was a faster way to achieve the result. This being said, we had to develop some enhancers that we were able to put in through the nose spray, allowing a smaller dose, but to enhance the drug itself. This allowing less issues like hypertension, and allowing the product to work through the nose versus, in many cases, people are not interested in taking a shot.
No, I don't blame them. So when somebody takes the love spray, how long does it take before they're in love?
So we see this to be based more on your libido. So if you are watching Dateline, you're probably going to take a little longer, 5 to 7 hours, I would say. And if you're in the mood and you're looking at probably a shorter time, maybe between 2 and 3 hours.
Now, I know oxytocin, people have been talking a lot about that. That's a hormone, correct?
Oxytocin is a hormone. It's equivalent to essentially the love drug as well, somewhat of a fork feeling, what you would feel similar after making love.
Are you guys compounding oxytocin?
We do oxytocin, and we add it to some of our Cialis or Viagra type of compound versions, as well as we also do an oxytocin nose spray by itself.
So one of the biggest trends we're seeing is now that a lot of these drugs are off patent, we see the sildenafil and the tadalafil. What are you guys doing differently that makes your compounds more exciting?
Sure. I think the first part was to find out that with the generic versions, you're seeing companies come out like Romans, and we thought, what would that do to our business? And believe it or not, it's actually enhanced our sales. People have gone to Romans, they've taken the product, and it hasn't done anything. So we've seen some companies similar to what working with Gainswave now, that where you're looking at taking two therapies together and actually solving the problem. So we're seeing actually a more of awareness of the product and why they simply just couldn't take a pill and didn't do anything.
Okay, and you're blending the tadalafil and the sildenafil in with oxytocin. Are there other hormones that you're putting in there?
As of now, the oxytocin and sildenafil, or the tadalafil with oxytocin is typically the more popular one. That's sort of allowing the feeling of an, I guess you could say the after sex type of feeling versus with the actual feeling of sex. So it's a good combo, and one of the higher selling ones.
So you get the sex feeling and you get the after sex feeling.
That's right.
Oh, I can see that selling. No, generally, I guess a person needs a prescription to get this compound. What kind of doctor are they seeing?
Sure. So they are definitely going to see you typically urologist or a wellness physician that we're seeing, and typically the doctor is going to start off with maybe a diet slash hormone program, and then find out that the some of the symptoms of those two issues will cause some erectile dysfunction concerns, and prescribe them these type of medications.
Now, I know Wells, you guys have been in business now for almost 2 decades.
Yeah, Wells became Wells Pharmacy in actually 2010. The owners have actually had pharmacies going back to the late 1990s. So they've been around for a while, but Wells Pharmacy Network itself has been around since 2010.
And I know hormone optimization has always been one of your bread and butters.
Absolutely. We started off briefly in the veterinarian business, and found it to be more desirable to be in the anti-aging wellness, diet, sexual wellness business.
And probably a lot more demand for sexual wellness drugs.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about hormones. Testosterone therapy, like why would somebody get compounded testosterone versus testosterone cypionate that's branded?
Sure. So many reasons. One, we're able to take either a cypionate and propionate mixture. So someone taking propionate is going to get a fast-acting feeling, while then cypionate's the mid-level. So we have the ability to blend both. We have the ability to change the ester it's in. So, for example, cypionate is commercially available in cottonseed. Not a lot of people can take cottonseed without feeling symptoms of being either allergic or feeling knots when they take the product. So we're able to do something similar like grapeseed.
So there's less likely for somebody to have an allergic reaction.
Correct. I always tell the states that, when they ask a lot the same question, we say, why don't you try taking both and tell me which one hurts less? And 9 out of 10 times the compounded versions are usually made to have less pain and more desire.
Is growth hormone still popular?
Growth hormone is, we're seeing again from the peptides world, tesamorelin sort of being the Cadillac, and even though it's an expensive peptide, it's a lot less than HGH. So we're seeing that one climb pretty fast, actually.
So it has a lot of the benefits that growth hormone optimization has?
It does. We're seeing some IGF-1 release in up to 6 days. Where if you go back further, like Samorelin, which started off the sleep performance or growth of IGF-1, was taking up to 2 months.
Okay, and as far as other means, I know there's testosterone gel that's you guys do compounded gels?
Absolutely. So we'll start with something like gels and work our way up to sublinguals, all the way up to where we're doing injectables, and then finally pellets.
So you must have to have really good relationships and work as a partnership with the doctor to be able to come up with a win-win for the patient.
Absolutely. Developing a program and teaching a physician from our side what works best based on the results that we've been doing for the last 10 years.
Do you find a lot of patients just walking in with prescriptions or contacting you with prescriptions, or is it mainly through doctors that they're getting onto a program?
Yeah, our main source is coming in directly from a physician, not a whole lot of walk-ins.
Okay, so if a patient is interested in Love Spray or the Love Drug or any of your exciting products, how would they find a doctor to work with?
That's a great question. We are focusing on educating all of our physicians purchasing from Wells currently, and adding in that to their portfolios to offer that. So getting a physician just that knows about one, the peptides, two, that they're purchasing from Wells, that they have this ability to do this, and obviously we plan on doing some marketing to all of our networks to make sure everyone can see what's coming out.
Okay, and you guys are located in Florida, but you have, I guess, compounding pharmacies have to be licensed in 50 states, or you have to be licensed in all the different states.
Correct. Just because the pharmacy is located in Ocala, Florida, uh, with any state license, you would follow the requirements of that certain state. So California comes every year, Texas comes and reviews us based on their standards.
So you have licenses in all 50 states?
We have 49 in 3 territories. We are not currently in Alabama.
I would make a joke there, but I'm trying not to. What territories are you in?
So the territories are in Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and North Marina Islands, which is
You have people there?
they do have a few.
So it sounds like a compounding pharmacy has to go through more rigorous testing and standards than, say, just a regular pharmacy, because you also get regulated by the FDA, the DEA.
Correct. So 2 types of pharmacies out there. It's drafted in the DQSA, the Drug Quality Safety Act. We ultimately run 2 types of pharmacies. One's a 503A, which is patient specific, and that's ran by your local state. Then there's a 503B, or an outsourcer. Outsourcers can send products to a doctor directly for office use, and that is specifically ran by the FDA. And then, of course, if you do a controlled substance, then you work with the DEA. So
you're both a 503A and a 503B.
correct. We currently run 2 503Bs and 3 503As.
Well, so it sounds like running a compounding pharmacy isn't just running, managing pharmacists, but you have to manage, I would assume you would have attorneys and people that make sure you follow all the regulations.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time with state regulations, visiting the states, simply complying to their changing regulations, which change often, as well as a very heavy quality department, heavy in chemistry, microbiology, and all the testing pieces, and following the FDA very, very almost daily.
So you went from mixing drinks to compounding drugs. I think that's awesome. What's next for you?
To try to sell this business and go back to bartending.
If you sell the business, it sounds like you can buy the bar.
That's right. No, it's honestly, I haven't thought much about that. We've really, once you find a few products that really change people's lives, you really can turn around and say, wow, we were part of this. And it's actually been very enjoyable the last few years doing this.
It sounds rewarding. And you paid us a visit. You're here with your wife, Casey. You have kids, so you're running the family, running the business, helping people stay young. I think that's incredible. It's a great story.
Thank you.
What's the best way, like if anybody's listening to this podcast, they want to find out more about your pharmacy, how would they do that?
Yeah, simply go to our website, I think is probably the best place, wellsrx.com.
That's WELLS?
That's correct. WELSRX.com. And my information's there. I have my cell phone there, and we have a lot of the appropriate people for the right answers for you.
Awesome. And I would assume if somebody is listening to this and they're interested in the Love Spray or any of the other exciting hormones and they're working with a doctor, they should have the doctor reach out to you as well.
Absolutely. And we'll more than happily share the education piece, how it's dosed, and everything about the drug.
Awesome. Well, Kris, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming down, sharing with me, with the audience, a little bit more about how compounding pharmacies work. I think that's really cool.
Well, thanks for having me.